Hey everyone, and welcome to the 61st episode of We're All in the Same Boat. I'm your host, Luke Roxold, and today I am here with Monica. As always, you can check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes. It's weird because I don't know if I'm I'm not used to having a camera, so I don't know if I'm supposed to look at the camera or if I'm supposed to look at you.
I don't either.
I guess I could tell you. You can check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes and Google Play. So, if you're wanting to listen to this podcast later, you can do that. So I didn't even give you a chance to say hello. So
hello.
So Monica, I think Monica is one of my. I think you're one of the first people that I actually met in Seattle, and I met you because you had been doing an Airbnb for a little while.
Yes.
And
illegally.
You want me to keep that in?
Yes.
No, that's right. No one's going to come after you. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
My landlord is an old lady who would never check.
That's right. Wouldn't it be funny if she was one of my fans? And, hey, look.
I know. She'd be like, all this time.
That's who that attractive man was walking around the house. But yeah, so I was like looking around for like a place to live, and I love that I'm telling it to you because I know you know the story. But I was looking around for a place to live, and Monica was doing like renting a room out, and I just figured like, all right, let's do it. It's not that expensive, and I met you, and then I met your mom. It's funny though because I didn't actually meet you. I met your mom first, and I think she was there for probably almost a month or so. So I actually got to know her pretty well.
Yeah, she was actually a total of 3 months, but you came in towards her at the end of her trip.
Did she?
And I was like, thank God. I thought you were going to try and skim me on the fries. I was like, oh, it's only one person living here, and just kind of pretending she was living. I did think about it, though.
No, I did think about it, because I was like, wait a second. Who is this other person?
I was trying to paint it like it was just a temporary guest between Christina and I and my sister, and I was like, oh, I really hope he's just quiet. And then and then you told me you like my mom, and my mom said she likes you, and I'm like, well, we're keeping the price.
Right, you're like, I gave you company, I gave you someone to talk to, so this is great. Yeah, so a little bit about yourself. You're from Romania originally, and you moved to Seattle in 2008. You were just telling me some of that stuff. Yeah, and like, can you tell me a little bit about what that was like? Remember, this is just kind of a conversation, and so, like, you graduated high school, and then out of all the countries you could have gone to, you chose the U.S. And I mean, I know we're awesome, but like, but why? Why the States? Why would you choose us of all places?
Well, marketing is a thing that Americans are good at, right? So
I'll take your word for it.
No, I do think that the United States is the best country in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and I grew
you don't have to be shy about it. It's all right.
I grew up watching movies and wanting to become an actress, and the whole beauty of being part of cinema and filmography and acting attracted me, and so I thought, okay, well, what country in the world would I be doing that? And really, Hollywood is in the United States, right? Right. I mean, there's Bollywood, but whatever.
Yeah, why didn't you go? You should have gone for Bollywood, Monica. That would have been great, right?
Soon. And then, as you know, I speak other languages, but the movie scene in Germany was not as attractive, or
there's something exciting about Hollywood. It's just the place to be for that stuff. And I just
fell in love with and it's funny because I went through a German upbringing, and I always hated the American language. I thought it was plain. I thought the vocabulary.
English. Do you mean, so when you say the American, do you mean the American version of English? Because I was going to say they are different, right?
I like how you caught that.
Right. Go ahead, and I'm going to have
American English.
If you can just pull the microphone just a little closer.
American English.
I want you to be comfortable, so if you need to, if you want to like lean back, go ahead and pull the microphone closer. So.
Okay.
All right, because there's English.
So American English.
Okay.
Okay, well, English, okay. But compared to German and French, which I felt had a lot more diversity and history and vocabulary, English just seemed just utilitarian. Everybody uses it because they have to.
Right.
A plane.
Which is such a weird. That's so weird to me.
There's no, in German and French, there's so many pronouns and differentiations between female
so
and male.
So let me clarify. So I don't know.
Yeah, because you're American.
Yeah, I know. Which I know is like the stereotypical like, well, I know one language.
Yeah.
But I only need to know one language.
Right, exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't really.
So because of that, I was always a little bit of a contrarian where I said, well, I don't need this. First of all, French in Europe is considered upper class and upper echelon and high education. So I focused my attention a lot more on German and French. But then I remember at 13, I watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean and I just fell in love with Johnny Depp's interpretation. And I said, I would love to just wake up in the morning and be a different character every day and live vicariously through these different scripts and stories. And so I said, well, United States is going to be. Yeah.
Interesting, because I know.
So that's why. And then how I chose Seattle was just.
Yeah, because I was saying you're talking about Hollywood, and so like all the videos. So I'd say the videos are mostly in Los Angeles and New York, and you kind of ended up in the wrong corner.
I know. It's because my dream was always to go to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which is in LA. But I didn't know anyone in LA, and LA was so spread out, and it was just a little overwhelming, the thought. And we didn't qualify for any financial aid, so we just chose a simple community college. And so as we were taking our TOEFLs,
and just so everyone, that's you and your sister, right?
I don't have a mouse in my pocket. I have a twin sister, and you grow up speaking in plural because we've done the same things. We have very similar backgrounds and experiences, and so as I was preparing for my SATs and TOEFLs and ACT exams, our advisor was from Seattle. So he said, well, you could start the route of a community college, get your GPA beefed up, and then transfer to a 4-year college. And so we chose that, and he gave us a big pamphlet, and we had a friend's long lost uncle that lived in Seattle and some guy that was traveling in Europe that I met in Romania and moved to Seattle. So between those two people, it was 2 people more than the rest of the world or the rest of the United States.
Right.
So literally I said, well, Christina, hang on, because I can't just crash this guy's house that I met 3 years ago at the beach with 100 luggages. So it's just going to be me and 1 luggage. Right. And then I'm going to find us a place, and then you can come. So that's exactly how it worked out.
So like, would you, I'm trying to picture the whole situation. You're graduating from high school. So you're 18 or so?
18, yeah.
I never know if like
18.
I went to Ireland and they were talking about
19.
Well, they were talking about the whole grading system, and it's like completely different from the States. And so I was like, wait, what? How does this work?
Yeah,
and so
you're
I don't even
older
know.
when you go to school, yeah.
Is it any different in Romania for high school? Or
so it's still 12 classes, but so 12 years. But parents keep you at home longer just so you can be a child longer and play around. And, they think you've got your whole life to worry about bills and stress and jobs. So we're just going to keep you. We started school at 7.5.
Okay. I do think it's better to have.
So yeah, we graduated in 19.
Okay. Which I think is better. I know when I went to college, it was weird that there were certain kids that did like what's called dual enrollment, where you basically finished high school early.
Yeah, the overachievers that are trying to make money. Yeah, because United States is all about making money.
I know. We got to get things fast, get it done. Efficiency. It's a pro and a con.
And and that's how I've become now, 10 years later.
Yeah, I know.
All about
efficiency,
cramming everything, splitting myself into 100 things in one day. My friends hate me for being late to everything.
I can just feel it now. Like, I wonder who you're talking about.
Including this podcast.
But I know that I think it's important to be a kid while you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because like you were just saying, you have plenty of time to worry about a job.
Look, I just remember receiving mail and thinking and my mom would open that one letter I would get every 6 months. And I'd be like, why'd you open my mail? Because I would always see in the movies with a fancy coup papier, you know, opening the letter.
Is that a letter opener?
A letter opener, yeah. Usually with like a marble tip or gold polished or, you know, something fancy. And now when I pick up my mail, I'm like, God damn, can I just not have any more mail? And I have piles of unopened mail.
Man, I know, it's the worst.
Notice tickets. Oh gosh, I'm like, rip it off, nails raking. I just wish I didn't have any mail.
I know, and you were just
more bills.
You were talking about a fancy letter opener, and I know that
so coup papier means couper means to cut in French, and papier is paper.
Okay, and French is one of the languages that you know? Because you know French,
German.
English, German. I didn't know you knew German, actually.
What?
I knew you knew Spanish.
German, like 12, 13 years, because I studied kindergarten, too.
Yeah, so German, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, because German is such a funny language to me.
Yeah.
It's because, like, I have a site that I'm actually developing, and it's in English, but we're translating it to German. And so these little English words turn in these massive German words.
You know, my upbringing still impacts my writing to this day, because in German, having long, complex sentences
super words
is super appreciated. And when I write business, you know, for work, they're like, wow, that's a paragraph of a sentence. Can we cut it in a 5? And can we put it in past tense, right? In English?
Sure. Well, depends on how you want to write. I guess in
I
formal
forget,
letter.
but I remember one of the two. I know in German, you would either want to speak in present if you express a certain type of emotion, and in past if you're telling a story. But in English, it's just very simple, present, direct.
I know with Spanish, and I think French is the same way, and obviously you can tell me because you speak every language.
I speak those as well.
Spanish, you know, like if you go in the past tense, or like certain words are like feminine and masculine, and the tense changes, and then like, oh shoot, now I can't even remember now. Spanish is such a weird... Because I'm American, I don't need to know the language.
What do you mean? You're next door.
I know.
In fact, Spanish was the easiest language, the easiest to learn ever, because I only started studying it, it's been 4.5 years now, but I studied for 1.5 years in college, and then I went and studied in Spain for 3 months.
Okay.
And then, you know, got me a Spanish-speaking boyfriend for a couple months, and that's it. And then I was fluent. I've just been fluent.
I feel like
I started at 25.
Yeah, if you had to communicate with, you know, your significant other in another language, you'd be like, all right.
Yeah, especially if they didn't speak a lick of English.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that's his problem. What's wrong with him?
I know.
Everyone should know English because it just makes life easier for me.
I'm an immigrant.
That's right. So, I was kind of like, I love going off topic. I've mentioned that before.
Yeah.
But I was mentioning, you know, multiple different languages, and
you asked me how it was to move from Romania.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh, that's long gone.
Oh, long gone.
We got so fast that we'll circle back around to it. But like, you were saying, knowing German influenced the sentences and stuff that you were writing now in English, and I know that like, when I learned guitar, this is so weird. When I learned guitar, it like translated into me playing basketball, because instead of thinking of basketball like a sport, I started thinking about it in terms of like music. So with basketball, you have to have a rhythm for bouncing the ball. You have to be loose, and the abilities that I learned through playing guitar translated into playing basketball. And so what I'm curious about was that, did learning these multiple languages kind of create skill sets that stretched across other things? Like you were talking about your sentence structure in English changing because you learned German. And I know it's a little bit of a complicated question.
No, it actually makes sense. And, you know, the main benefit I reaped from having this education is people's automatic bias that somehow I'm smarter because I speak more languages. I know the research behind it. I'm no genius, but I know research behind shows that for every new thing that you learn, a new neural connection is being built in your brain. Now, if you think of language and composition, there's so many new things and nuances that you learn. Every word link, every topic, the culture that comes with it, that you're just creating a lot more neurons. So one thing that I've noticed, and I've noticed that as an adult because when you're a kid, your mom's like, go learn German, go learn this, you have to, right? But I didn't have to learn Spanish at 25. It was a self push to go to the next level. 4 languages is not enough. I want to speak 5. Is not enough to go to business school. I want to go to business school and have an international double degree. Like, just pushing yourself. And as an adult, as I was learning Spanish, I realized that by speaking all these other languages, I wasn't just learning verbatim, word for word. I was creating connections between the languages. So I would learn the Spanish word, and then I would translate it into French and then to Romanian and see which ones are similar. And the more similar ones, I would remember faster. So yeah, I would learn by assimilation.
Right, which I think that's very interesting too, because I know somebody was talking about like the school system in general and like with kids and how you basically tell the kid, here's something I need you to remember, and now remember it to this certain point.
Yeah.
And one of the things that someone was talking to me about was like, instead of getting kids into very specific types of education and forcing them to do it regardless of whether or not they're good at it, find what the kid likes and then encourage the kid to do it.
Yeah, that's the Montessori belief, right?
Is it? I don't even know.
I think kindergarten Montessori school of thought is
What's Montessori? What's that mean?
A type of kindergarten education where you let the child. There's a bunch of different stations in a room. Don't ask me why I know that.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say like I've never heard of this.
You know,
I've never heard
when
of this,
you
so
first move from a different country, you're either a waitress, a nanny, a cleaning lady, a server, right? So Montessori is basically you have, don't quote me because I just heard of it, but a lot of different stations where you just let the child kind of play and learn the piece that they're mostly attracted to. So it's kind of what you said. It's like a flexible curriculum where they don't have to just do math today, math, PT, and
as
this.
an example, like I was good in math and like computer stuff, all that sort of logical thinking, but because of the way my brain worked, it was a little harder for me just to read because I'd read very mechanically as opposed to just kind of like winging through it. And so the idea was that this kid's struggling in reading but really good at a lot of other things. But let's hold him back. And this hasn't happened to me specifically, but like you hold the kid back in what he's doing, even though he could be accelerating other things just because he's not good at that one aspect of school. But I don't know. I think it's interesting. All that stuff with the brain.
Yeah, one of the
stuff.
electives I took in college was...
Sorry. Just paranoid.
It's okay.
Make sure the camera's
one
still
of the
going.
electives I took was prenatal and postnatal psychology, and it was really interesting, like developmental psychology. It was really interesting how a child's I guess you could call them inception thoughts build during pregnancy, and it even depends on the type of care and lifestyle and nourishment that the mom had before she remained pregnant, like the few months before she actually becomes pregnant, in the outcome and the health of the baby. I just freaked out, and I realized, gosh.
So before the mom was even pregnant, the things that she was doing,
like what she ate, what she drank, and I became really
I'm glad I'm never going to be pregnant.
Paranoid
I don't have to worry
if
about
I ever want a kid,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to start planning like 3 months in advance, clean up my diet, clean up my thoughts. I don't know.
You're like, I don't want a dumb kid.
I know, like
want a
do all these
smart
things
kid.
during pregnancy, like the classical music on the belly. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. It's like too far away, but it was really interesting. And it might sound bad, but it really put this idea in my mind that I never want to adopt because of that. Because you'll never really know how they were raised, even if it's a baby, right? It's those 9-10 months from pre-inception till, you know,
Right.
birth.
I guess it kind of depends on like what you want out of having a kid.
Yeah.
You know, like what kind of fulfillment do you think? I mean, you said you might want a kid. I mean, like I'd like to have kids one day. I think
Oh
that'd be very
no, I would for
fulfilling to have
sure.
kids.
Like, you know, 5 years from now, 6 years from now.
But like, what do you have any idea why you would want a kid? Like, what's the reason?
So they can be like me. Okay.
You're like,
can
I'm
you cut
doing
that
the
out?
favor. Yeah. No, I'm doing the world a favor.
No.
I'm creating more of me. That's what I say. You know.
Oh my, yeah, I know. You're really hitting like some sensitive spots there, because my fear in life is putting everything I have in raising a kid, and them like not turning out how I want them to turn out.
Interesting.
Like, you know, I'm gonna work hard so I can give them all the opportunities that I didn't have in life. You
Which
know,
I think is good. I feel like that's the parent's job.
but then, what if they become a drug addict, or just,
Right.
oh, I don't want to go to college because you don't need college. Shut up. Go to college.
You think they should go to college? Definitely.
My kid should. I
Yeah.
think every child has their options. My child won't have an option.
It's like once you're 22 and done, you can do what you want.
My
I'm gonna actually have you just real quick, just grab the microphone right here and then just lift it up. Just pull it up a little bit further. And then just push it back just this way. I might come over there and help you real quick, just because I want to make sure I get that set up. Hold on. I might even leave this in. Screw it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? This is the line. So I'm just gonna push it here and then have it like right there. And then if I can have you just scoot forward just a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we'll be good.
Oh,
Good.
my
sorry.
DJ look fell apart.
That's right. Yeah. There we go.
Like that.
Yep.
Do you want to move more to your right?
So you can see me, so I'm not hiding behind the little microphone.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just make a note really quick.
Do you feel like it's not picking up?
Oh no,
on
it is. It's fine, and I'll fix it. I just want to make sure that I'm getting it all like really well, because you know we're getting
so
into,
much goodness.
That's right, Monica. I want to make you look as good as possible. I know that's what you want. So, okay, we were talking about kids and sending and how they have to go to college.
Just, you know, I feel like I learned so much from going to business school, and I might let them take a break between school and business school, but I just feel like I learned so much that it would be a shame for them not to. I worked extra hard, and I had to pay everything out of pocket, and we struggled really hard to do that, and they're not going to have to do that.
Right, you
They're
wanna be able to
just
take
going to
care of your
have
kids
to
in that way.
study, do relevant internships or relevant extracurricular, or I mean, no matter how hard we try to be part of all those, my biggest regret in college was not having enough time to, you know, do all this networking and socialization.
Right, because you were trying to work and
Build
stuff.
more friendships, build more work relationships, because we were just, swamped with work. And I mean, we still did pretty well, thank God. But I want them to do really well, so that they don't have to think about money. They can think of the bigger picture, you know, like the Maslow's hierarchy. I don't want their time to be consumed with the bottom levels. I want them to just, I only recently in the last few years since I've worked at Microsoft had a chance to stop worrying about what kind of bread, is it the cheaper or the more expensive,
Right.
versus like, how can I self-improve? What's the next audible I'm going to listen to? Why am I traveling to Italy? You know, how am I looking at this painting when I go to a museum? Like a lot more depth conversations. And if you don't have time to network and find those kind of people, you're never going to get into those thought processes. And I just want my kids to be that way.
I think I've heard a lot of things about college in general, and how, like, in terms of expenses, that it's not the little expenses that get you, it's the big expenses that get you. So if I buy like a $30,000 car or a $40,000 car, that's a big expense. Like, that's a $10,000 difference. And if you take $10,000 and you divide that up over a couple of years or something, that's a significant amount of money per month. And so if I was going to say, let's say I was like, oh, I'm going to go see a movie once a week, and the movie's like $10 a week, just to make it simple. That's only $500 a year. And like in the grand scheme of things, $500 is not that much money. But if I say I'm gonna buy a new phone every year or something, and that phone costs me $1,000 or something. You know
you're
what I mean?
saying
Like,
the big expenses get you.
Yeah, a phone's a bad example. I'm gonna
But see,
I'm gonna outdo myself on my apartment.
When you're that poor, like we were, a phone is a big expense. We never had iPhone until 3 years ago.
Really? You had a little flip phone?
Because I thought, I mean, it wasn't a flip phone. A Sprint has some like
little BlackBerry
100,
or something.
200, or you would get it free for the sign up, right?
I want to talk about that. Let's pause there for a second, because you were talking about leaving Romania and then showing up here, and you started at the bottom. And I heard that actually, I think Farron posted a video on Facebook. I know I didn't get a chance to make it to your birthday.
Is Farron often mentioned in your podcast?
No,
I
think it's the first time, but
I don't see a footnote explaining who's Farron.
I'm gonna try and have him on the podcast actually.
Yeah.
On your birthday, which I wasn't able to make it to, but I saw the video. Yeah. He was talking about you coming from I can't remember.
I gave this.
You said it. Yeah, I couldn't remember who said it. You were saying you started
from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah. It's
what
it's
happened. So you got to the U.S. with nothing.
Yeah.
No money, or did you have a little money?
We were never. I'll tell you exactly how much money we had. We were never
you don't
poor.
You don't have to tell me exactly how much
we
money.
We were never poor in Romania, but that's because poverty in Romania is such a big discrepancy between rich and poor, right? We were never poor by Romanian standards. So we had a cleaning lady come once a week for 8 hours, and she would clean the house and cook and help my mom cook, both our parents were engineers, valedictorians.
Wasn't your mom pretty successful?
Oh yeah. She was like, if you think Boeing has few women, try Romanian, energy plants. Beyond, I think it's 1 in 100 women ratio, maybe. Masters, I mean, they were successful, right? And we had private tutors and private teachers and private schooling our whole life, and we traveled abroad. Some of my friends didn't. But we weren't rich by the means of, our parents didn't take us shopping. We didn't have Louis Vuittons. We didn't have fancy family vacations. We would vacation twice a year. But compared to my other friends on the street, they wouldn't vacation ever. Or,
So you're doing okay in Romania.
Average, yeah. And then the last couple of years, I dated an American guy who just treated us really, really well. To this day, the most generous,
Represent the country.
I mean, that was also part of... that was also part of the reason why we moved. Yeah, sure, it started with acting, but then I saw him, and he was really the one that influenced my decision. Because when we first met, we were just such party kids. We would party 5 nights a week, party until 5 in the morning, go home, take a shower, and go straight to school, and then fall asleep at school. Like, we just didn't care. And when I saw him, how successful and well-to-do he was, and how kind he was, I realized that that's what I want in life. I want to be able to be that financially independent, to be generous with my friends and take them out and treat them nice, and, treat the person I love nice. And so, so when we moved from Romania, besides the fact that our life was okay and him treating us really nice, obviously we broke up because we were about to start a new life. We literally came here. My mom paid for our flight, the first quarter of school, and maybe $2,000 in our pocket.
Okay, wow.
So that lasted for about 6 months at the most.
Especially in
Actually,
Seattle.
my sister and I were just doing the math the other day that our monthly expenses were maybe $600 a month. We were sharing a room for $400. We were sharing a bed. We shared a bed the first 2.5 years we were in the United States. The food, we would go to the food bank next door. And I remember the first time we went to the food bank, we started crying because we look at each other and it's all, homeless people. And we're like, are we homeless? Like, it really does something to your identity,
Yeah.
And we're like, you know what?
I get that same feeling when I go to the DMV. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, am I homeless? Like, you look at all the people around here. But so you're at the store and you're like, what? We moved to America for this?
Yeah. And
be
we're like,
poor.
you know what? In 2 years when we graduate, we'll have OPT, which is 1 year allowed to work legally. And if we score a good job, they'll sponsor us into a work permit, and which is what happened, right? But those first 2 years were really hard. And every time somebody asks me what it's like to move from a different country, I say, how low can you go? Unless you come with a wealthy family, and how willing are you to not give up hope that it's going to get better? And I feel like sometimes people that are born and raised in the United States forget about the American dream, and they say, well, look at me, I'm smart and I'm poor, or I worked hard and I'm poor. I'm like, no, I think that the American dream still lives on well. And if you work hard, but I mean really hard, then you can get anything you want.
Now, the American dream...
to us, it happened, right? We're both at Amazon. We were both at Microsoft. We went to top business school in the United States. So we had to go full time. So we took 20 plus credits each quarter, and we worked 40 to 50. My sister would work upwards of 70 hours a week.
Wow.
Like, I remember going to class 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then take a little nap and then work 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then sometimes 10, 12-hour shifts in the weekends. So no weekends for 2 years.
Right.
Then we had 1 year of work, and then we went back to school for 3 years.
So you literally took the...
So 5 years of our life...
We're poor, and we're going to
Yeah.
get out of this.
And 5 years of our life, we had no vacation, no time off. Same shit. I meant no weekends off. A lot of it, we ate at food banks. Hand-me-downs. A lot of our friends just gave us clothes. So we just became really frugal. And I mean, even now we have clothing exchange parties with our friends.
You still are a little bit frugal.
Yeah.
This is
cheap,
something
frugal.
that I know.
Frugal.
That's right. I'm not cheap, I'm frugal.
Yeah, now we call it granola, right? Seattle's all about like thrift shopping and clothing exchange with your friends. So, but see, it feels different now that you don't have to. I can buy a Louis Vuitton if I want to. I just choose not to. Versus before, I hated hostels because it's all I could afford. And now when I went to Australia, I stayed in hostels so I can meet young, hot people, and friends, I mean.
Right.
So, but it's a matter of choice.
What was it like when you first got here? Like, was it shocking?
No, I think we were just so excited to be part of it.
So there was never a point when you were like,
This sucks.
I don't like this, I want to go back, other than the food bank moment?
There were a lot of moments when you wanted to go back because...
Actually, let me give some context. I'm trying to think about what it'd be like, because obviously I've never moved to another country. But I do know when I moved away from my family and moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, that there was a lot of culture changes. Like when I moved from Virginia to Los Angeles, and there was things that I missed and there was things that I hated. And so I'm trying to think, there must have been something like that in the U.S. versus Romania.
I'm going to preface everything with, we were so exhausted from work and surviving mode that we didn't really have time to notice the bad things right away. Like all the things that I would complain about now, like culture and people being different and interpersonal relationships and blah 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 blah. This is hashtag first world problems, right? When you're scraping by and counting your pennies, you don't have time for that. That's what I'm saying. Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? We notice the differences in time, like dating, relationships, friendships.
So like people, like what was
people,
I'm mostly curious about culture.
And I want to preface that with Seattle, right? The Seattle freeze. So I don't want to generalize all Americans, but I just noticed that it was very hard to build relationships. And I mean, we're pretty social, outgoing people. We're friendly. We might be out there a little, but not outside the norms, right? But, you know, in Romania or in Europe, if you made a friend, you would stay in touch with them. Versus here, I remember there were times where I would message people literally every month or two. I would just go through my few contacts that I made and said, hey, hope your day is well. How have you been? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would notice the percentage that would answer or not answer, or answer after 2 weeks.
There'd be a lot of people that wouldn't answer?
Yeah, maybe half.
I'm trying to think if I would ever not answer that. Like if someone sent that to me, because I know you've called me
imagine,
before.
I mean, and then now through the American eyes, because I consider myself half American, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I don't answer all the texts all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But I mean,
it's sad.
If someone texted me out of the blue and was like, hey, I thought of you. How you doing? You know, how's life? I feel like...
It would be nice, right?
Yeah, and I think I would always answer it. But I can see sometimes... I do know...
Let's say they would answer, nothing would come out of it. I'd be like, let's hang out. And they'd be like...
sure, let's do it.
I'm busy this time, but another time. But they would never propose another time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I remember one friend in particular... I liked her a lot, and I just wanted her to be my friend. And I kept messaging her every few months. And it took, I want to say, 2 or 3 years to make friends.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But now we're best friends.
Interesting.
I think you know her.
You said...
It's my best friend.
I don't know who your best friend is.
Deborah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know who she is. I mean, I met her.
Oh,
but
wait, you want to know my birthday. Yeah, okay.
I was like, cool. I don't know who that is. Shout out to Deborah on the podcast.
Shout out to Deborah. World Traveler. Follow her on Instagram.
Hey, plugs are not until later. Okay, getting ahead of ourselves.
She actually is Insta famous, so there you go.
Oh, is she really?
We'll plug her Insta.
Well, let's have her plug us. Maybe we'll plug our channel. I don't know. We'll see. We gave her a shout out.
Yeah, so I think that was the hardest part. I think, dating was really hard. You come from a culture where it's very old school and, courting and dating and people want to sleep with you right away. And
in Seattle, you mean?
Yeah, I mean in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we weren't used to all of that together.
Mm-hmm. That's a different culture in Romania?
I think for sure,
Interesting. I say interesting a lot too, by the way. So don't anybody comment about that because I know it's true. Let's see what else I have about on some of this stuff. I know it on. I pulled this from your Facebook. Okay, am I allowed to share this? It's about where you lived.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no secrets or anything.
Sure.
I mean, it says you lived in the biggest city in Romania. You say it like.
Oh yeah, Bucharest.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it wrong. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
No, Bucharest is the English version.
What's it in Romania?
București.
Yeah. Okay. That's not going to happen. But it says you lived in Brussels for a while?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. When was that? Was that during... I guess it was during high school.
Yeah, so that was the senior year of high school when I dated my American boyfriend.
Okay.
And so I met him in Romania. We were friends for a long time, right? Because I had never had a boyfriend before. Mm-hmm. So it was just confusing. I remember we met in around February. Mm-hmm. And then we kissed for the first time when I turned 18. I think he was a little paranoid that kissing a 17-year-old would get him in trouble. And I'm like, dude, you're in Romania. What's going to happen?
He's like, but when I go back to the States, they're going to get me.
And I kissed him for my birthday. And then...
That's really cool. I mean, that's really interesting that he waited. It's a...
I mean, I can't say that I was really interested because I just wasn't.
Shoot, I said interested again.
No, interested in him.
I know, but I said interesting. That's very. It intrigues me.
He really courted me and won me over with his kindness and.
So he's really that nice. Where was he from in the U.S.?
Chicago. Yeah. And.
I don't know much about people from Chicago.
Yeah.
It's Midwest, I guess, but it's also a big city.
Champaign-Urbana, Illinois University, Accenture. Mm-hmm. And he won me over, and in July I said, let's just kind of date, but I'm not going to... I'm a virgin, I don't want to sleep with you,
Why was he in Romania?
He was implementing a project in the banks.
So how old was he?
24.
Okay. So he
24, 25.
from Chicago, and then he was over in Romania doing
Yeah,
something.
out of
project.
college, got a good job at Accenture, sent abroad for
Okay.
a couple years. Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometime in like August, September, I realized. So I told him, I don't want to sleep with you because I'm a virgin, but you can sleep with my friend. So when Pitbull says,
is this a Romanian
when Pitbull
culture?
says like, Pit, you can have me and my sister, like that, I was laughing so hard at that song because, but then after he kissed my friend, I realized, no, I care about him. And I was like, from now on, we're exclusive.
You can go over there, and then it's like,
yeah.
Wait a second. You can't do it's so funny because it's high school too.
Seriously,
so
and
you're
they
like
kissed
young,
like
you don't
out
understand.
of sight too, in like in a bathroom.
But you just knew it.
But I saw they were both walking out, and I was like, "Did you just kiss her?"
The steam.
And he's
the
like,
red
"Yeah,
face.
you told me I can kiss her and I can sleep with her." I'm like,
Never
I just
mind.
changed my mind. Had to change my mind.
Never mind. We can't do that now.
And then he took the same contract in Brussels, so we continued dating one more year after that, and he flew me to Brussels like every other week or once a month, or he would come back here. And my mom loved him because he would always bring
There's two Americans that your mom loves. See? There you go.
Oh no, he loves other ones too.
Oh really? Okay.
So there's these Godiva boxes and
You
Leonidas.
use so many words today that I don't know.
Godiva is a fancy chocolate.
Oh,
What do you eat? Whitman's?
Hershey's.
So Godiva.
This is Hershey's
Godiva,
chocolate. It's America chocolate. Thank
Godiva,
you.
Leonidas. Here's plugs for the best chocolates in the world. Pierre
Okay.
Marcolini.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
So he would bring these boxes, 5 pounds of Godiva chocolate. I mean, it would probably be a couple $100s in the United States.
5
because
pounds.
6 ounces cost like
$1 or $2.
10 or
10?
20 in US. Yeah.
What? It's
So
better
and
be some
every
damn
time
good
he would come
chocolate.
back, he would bring these huge boxes and all kinds of stuff, and she would just like, don't ever leave him. And even to this
I
day,
want the chocolate.
when she sees cute little, Asian kids, she's like, your kids would look so good, because he was mixed. So it would be mixed kids. And
Right.
I always think, our babies would have been cute.
Oh, like half Asian, half
Eastern European. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I remember I would eat with him. I ate ramen for the first time, and we thought it was so good, top ramen. And he's like, "No, this is just like cheap, like college food." And the first time my mom saw me eating with like soup with chopsticks, she's like freaked out, like, "Oh my god, my little Asian girl!"
Like in a good way or in a bad way?
Nah, she
She's
was
like,
always fine.
drop those. Oh, she just thought it was funny.
I mean, most people are judgmental in Romania just because there's no diversity, right? It's just Romanians, just
Eastern Europeans.
just white, just Christian, just whatever, just Romanian style, right? There's no diversity. There's no culture diversity. No racial diversity. So yeah, it was a little different for her. But she got it over real quick because he was just so nice,
Right, that's the way to do it. Went over. Got to impress the mom.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big part of winning the girl over.
Yeah, definitely my mom, just easy to impress. Just feed her chocolate and buy her books.
Right. What was Los Angeles like?
Los Angeles was, to me...
Would you give it a thumbs up overall or a thumbs down?
To me, it was a dream. Because
so you loved it.
I loved it. I don't remember one day being miserable. Probably because it was so sunny all the time and just perfect weather. And I got a really good job out of college. I had no experience, and I was given the opportunity to be district manager for Kodak. So managing 40 retail locations. No sales management. I even said all the wrong things in the interview. I talked about religion. I talked about politics. I talked about, I only want this job for a year. I want to go back to school. Like all the wrong things. I didn't even come prepared. I didn't even come dressed in business clothes. I came dressed for a car promo because that's what I was going to work later today, that day.
Yeah.
And the manager, he just really, he just saw something in me, and he told me, if we push you to the next phase, which is only one person out of the 600 resumes we got. It was back in 2009, 10 when the economy crashed. So it was really hard to get a good job, right?
Right.
If you could
I
just
think
wear
about
like
that. You guys moved here in 2008, like right when everything went down.
If you could just wear a button-up shirt, for the interview, I'm like, oh God, I'm not going to make it to the final. Right? And then they're like, you're going to have to present a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I'm like, what is that? And I got pushed to national, to the final interview with the national lead.
Really?
And I got it.
There you go.
And I had never owned a printer in my life, and my job was to sell and train sellers how to sell printers. Mm-hmm. And after a year and a half, I finished number 3 United States for sales. Wow. I had the best sales, and my quota was almost twice as big because LA area was just so big. Mm-hmm. And I just crushed it. And that's when I realized something about sales, something about biz dev that I want to get into.
Is that what switched you from wanting to be an actress into sales? Or is that still there?
Actually, it's a good question. We couldn't continue acting because we would not have been given a work permit in the United States because it's considered trivial. I mean, liberal arts. It had to be something solid to justify why you're taking the job from an American.
Interesting.
So we actually had to bury that.
Interesting.
It's okay. We had to bury that.
I am interested in what you're saying. I think it's crazy because it's just such a different life than what I've had, because I had.
Oh my God, one of my girlfriends accidentally said yesterday, we were just hanging out, and she comes from a very wealthy family, and what she meant was, not everybody has had hardships like you have, and that makes you unique and valuable and just like a whole package, right? And she's, not everybody has had a shitty life story. But instantly, like, I didn't even register when she said it. It just went past my ear, and then she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean shitty. I meant like hard and like, I'm really sorry. I'm like,
that's like,
did you say shit? It just happened the other day. I'm laughing.
Yeah, man, your life has been horrible.
No, I wasn't offended.
Makes you special. Your life sucks so much. You're like,
no, but you know what? We were spoiled brats when we came from Romania. I'm not gonna deny, because in Romania, like I said, especially with my boyfriend, we really had everything. We were spoiled. We didn't have we didn't do anything. We never picked up our room because the cleaning lady would come. We never cooked. We never washed a dish. And we were hit against reality when we moved. We're like, oh, shoot.
Your mom's not there anymore.
Oh, you have to wash and dry the clothes. You have to cook. Oh, this egg overboiled. Like, everything, the stupidest things seemed terrible.
We gotta stop for a second because you're like, oh, this egg overboiled. And I'm just picturing you like trying to like soft boil an egg or something for the first time ever. Like,
seriously,
I remember when I made
that's
chicken.
exactly how it was.
When I made chicken for the first time.
Our chicken came out dry for so
rubber.
many times. I hate chicken now.
I know.
No, now I'm starting to learn how to.
I'm eating hamburger from now on.
I ate those, plug for the lean cuisines for years. I only learned how to actually enjoy cooking and how to cook a year and a half ago when my mom came to visit. And I realized, girl, if you want a man, you better learn how to cook. So at 27 and a half, I learned how to, 28, I learned how to cook.
Oh, so like right now? Like you're learning to cook now?
No, I learned a year and a half ago.
Okay.
I'm 29.
Okay, true. Whoops. Bring up the age.
I mean 25. Can you cut that out?
That's right. Sorry. My bad host. Sorry.
But yeah, so,
So, you're moving to New York.
Yes.
Are you excited?
Very excited.
Anticipations of any sort of thing? You were in the big city in Romania. Now you're in one of the big cities of the world now.
Yeah, biggest. I'm just really excited because my perceptions of people in New York is that they're very upfront. with the positive, with the negative, and that's how I am. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't run around. I'm not perfect, but I explain everything versus sometimes people don't give you explanations here. They just they act really friendly, up front in your face, and then behind your back, oh, well.
You're talking about the East Coast culture that I have built up so much over the last...
The West Coast, you mean?
No, I mean, like, when you're moving to the East Coast, so you're, like, looking forward to that different culture.
I don't think it was your input too much, because
but I've
always had this impression of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to New York many, many times. I mean, 4 years ago, I lived there for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like you said, New York is the city in the United States, right? Everybody knows about New Yorkers, and everybody dreams to be a fashion model there, or like photography, or I don't know, but Wall Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just really excited. I mean, every time I've gone to New York, I've had a great time. People, I connected really well with them. I mean, I'm really excited about my work opportunity because it's a role that I've wanted to have. So that's really exciting. I'm excited about the place that I finally found. It's so hard to find. So there's a lot of, I mean, fashion, people dressing nice. Life's too short to wear training outfits and yoga pants and tennis shoes every day, and one of the biggest things is actually art, right? Because going back to my love for acting, there's going to be... So we always dreamed of being actresses in musicals. Well, what is New York? It's capital of musicals, right?
Oh, yeah.
So just like I've seen all the shows in Vegas, I'm going to go see all the shows in New York. So I'll have a busy few years ahead. And there's a lot of Europeans there. So, as I'm approaching the age where I'm looking to find Mr. Right, I'm hoping that New York will present some good options, right? I think Seattle is very techy and very cloud centric, and sure, I work in cloud,
which I think really influences the culture a lot.
Totally. And I'm excited that New York has something else to offer,
because if the people like leading the city are Wall Street, like bankers and finance, and
I don't know. It's
there's some art and film, but so like LA is shaped by Hollywood, DC is shaped by the government, like politics, and then Seattle, I'm sure, is shaped a lot. Seattle and San Francisco by the tech industry, and like New York is like what is that shaped by? Like,
I think it's
a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fashion, it's Wall Street, it's old money too. So like going back to Romania as a traditional country, I think that there's a lot more traditional upbringing, traditional manners, behaviors in New York on the East Coast. I don't know. Just I'm talking without knowing.
This is all speculating.
Of course, it's all speculating and like perceptions.
Because I thought I would love LA when I moved there, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But I thought I would like, because they all do movies out there. I do movies. Yeah. I'll get along with everyone, and ended up, not working out. Okay.
So why don't I come on your podcast in a year and tell you how I really feel about New York?
Just don't be 30 minutes late.
I know. I'll be an hour. You'll
show me
just to fuck with you.
That's right. I'll show you.
I'll show you.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if it lives up to what you're hoping to. Now I know
I have no doubt. And actually, I
feel like you should have some doubt, because I was just about to say like you're gonna realize.
I think it's a placebo effect too. Because
I think you're gonna realize there's things about Seattle you miss that you're not gonna realize.
And I know already there's things I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss my friends.
And there's gonna be problems in New York you're not gonna know how to deal with. I'm gonna miss the parties. I'm gonna miss the comfort of having a car. So I'm really excited to walk everywhere, but I know I'm gonna miss having a car because I'm just used to, I'm running late to work. It's okay. I'm driving, putting makeup on, and eating at the same time. I'm not going to put makeup on in a subway in New York and eating at the same time. Like, I'm going to have to replan. Here, I go to Costco, I have food for the month. There, oh my God, these bags are so heavy, right? So, like, here, rain or shine, I can wear my little pink shoes. There,
yeah, you better wear Uggs today and bring the shoes in the purse. And all of a sudden the purse becomes like this going to work. So I know that there's adjustments. You know, I'm not going to buy in bulk. I already have a tiny, tiny kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. And I love cooking and I cook for the week. I mean, yeah, I know there's adjustments, but I'm just so excited to try a different thing. And I think that's what keeps you young in a way. I think that the older we get, the more encrusted we are in our routines. Mm-hmm. And I think it's invigorating to just change everything again. And I mean, look, I moved from Romania with no money and no parents. I'm moving to the East Coast with a well-paying job, living on Park Avenue. How bad can it be? Right. So yeah, I'm just really blessed and
it's an awesome opportunity, and I think that living in a different city for a little while, that will be good for you, just to experience some new things.
I don't plan on coming back to Seattle.
Yeah.
I plan on finding Mr. Right and settling down.
In New York. Would you want to stay in New York, you think? I mean, I guess that's like a question for you in like probably more than a year or so, you know, like to see what you think.
I'm very much family oriented, so if they want to live in New York and they have a solid reason for it, then we'll stay in New York. If they want to go somewhere else, I would see myself in Seattle, I would see myself in Colorado, I would see myself in San Diego,
so
wherever.
Mr. Right, that's all that matters. And it's like, I'll live wherever.
For me, yeah. My skills are marketable wherever. And eventually I will not be working to have kids. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it matters a lot what he wants and what he does. Mm-hmm. I mean, in life is all about compromises. And I know I have certain expectations that will need to be met. So I need to be flexible on my expectations too, right? So coming back to Seattle is not a priority. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you've been here, you've been here for a long time.
Yeah, I've been here enough. I mean, if he wanted to move here, it'd be fine. He's like,
I've always dreamed of living in Seattle. And you're like, oh man, well, I just left
I know. But see, all the things that I'm not fond of in Seattle would not be so bad if I was married, right? For me, I didn't like Seattle because I thought dating was really hard, right? I didn't find people that I was connecting with, that I was attracted to, that had the same school of thought. So I found it hard. But if I was married, I wouldn't be worried about dating, right? I would just be... And Seattle's a very safe area, has skiing, which I love, has somewhat beach, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle definitely has everything.
It has diversity.
In terms of,
it just doesn't have the right people for me.
But yeah, it's like nobody, not very many people date in this city.
Right. And for me, like, having a family is a big priority in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
I know I complain about not wanting kids anytime soon, but when I do want them, I'm going to want them, right? Mm-hmm. So it's got to be a place that's conducive for that. Right. I don't know if Manhattan's conducive for that or Jersey, but
no, I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward.
Honestly,
to
I would love to live in Denver.
Stories. Denver?
Yeah, because I love skiing. Denver has amazing skiing. It's 300 days of the sun, so a lot of sun, even though you get cold. Mm-hmm. And
I feel like I would choose New York over Denver. I feel like a lot more is going on in New York.
I don't know, if you want a couple kids and a big house with a picket fence.
Let's move upstate where it's in an igloo.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know what New York has to offer.
Have you had snow? What's like does it snow that much in Romania?
Yeah.
Like a lot?
It's like Russia.
Okay. So
it's like negative 20 Celsius. Okay. Like, we wear fur hats and fur gloves and
I guess it's a dumb question to think about, like, where it is in the world. It's like, oh yeah, it is right next to, like, you know, the snowiest country ever.
Romania is the size of Washington State, and it's same climate as New York, as Chicago, as Russia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're used to it. Well, you might not be used to it after Seattle. You know, you got used to the rain.
Exactly. So I would have been jaded. Yeah. You know.
Walking through the snow. There's no hills out there, you know.
Exactly.
It's flat. It's all flat. Get a bike.
So I'm gonna live a 3-minute walk from my work. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. I don't need a bike.
But you can bike around the city, though. I feel like bike would be fun.
I actually like inline skating better. I feel like it's more flexible, and you can just put them in your backpack.
Yeah, that's true. Or like a longboard or something. Or a skateboard.
No, I don't like longboards.
No?
Skating.
Not a fan?
Well, it's a combination because skate is also a good workout for your legs.
Mm-hmm.
A longboard is more like, I don't know,
We done.
after a while you kind of associate things, even if it's correct or incorrect, but I associate longboard with more like, high school, college kids, twist backs. Like, I wouldn't longboard to work. Walk into my partner meetings.
What's up, guys? Got my board.
Exactly. Got my board.
The hat on backwards.
Inline skates might still...
You can hide them. What are you going to do? Inline skate in a dress?
Why not?
I don't know. Does it work?
You don't have to split legs.
I don't wear dresses. I don't know if it works.
I've never done it, but...
Can it be done? I guess it can be done. I just didn't know if it was done.
Yeah.
Am I crushing your New York hopes?
No, not at all.
Inline skate. It's like, you can't do that. It's not cool.
I could.
Ruined.
Hey, you saw me getting out of my car.
Wrecked.
This dress and tennis shoes.
Yeah, that's right. She had to switch shoes on when she pulled up because she was wearing a dress and tennis shoes. So.
Yeah, because I had just come from gym.
I mean, I don't expect you to drive your car.
I think New York is going to be everything I imagine
high heels.
More.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's high hopes.
I mean, everything is walking distance. Mm-hmm. I have
it's an intense
grocery
city.
store.
Like it's an intense city.
Some people have described me as intense, right?
Yeah, you're intense. But I'm just saying, like, it's an intense city. It's the city.
Yeah, but it's also 9 million people. You can find anything you want.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You just have to be in the places that represent your passions and try and find similar personalities there. It's better than having 50% of the people not believing in God, like Seattle, right?
I feel like New York
which goes against my belief.
I think a lot of people in New York probably don't believe in God.
I don't know.
I feel
know
like
Seattle has a high percentage of that, and
there's a lot of religion hate in Seattle. I've noticed.
In Seattle, I feel like everything you say, you have to watch what you're saying because you might offend some groups. And remember, I was asking you before the podcast, like, oh shit, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to say or not to say, because if I have one belief and someone else has another, they might hate on it. They might say, that girl's dumb for believing in God.
Right.
Well,
I feel like it's difficult to believe in and not believe in God. Like, they both are like, I don't think it's an easy answer. And like,
I think that Seattle is one topic that I have no interest in discussing.
I have people visiting me in Seattle going like, so is everybody sensitive? Like, it's really kind of known as like a sensitive city. But there's all types of people everywhere, I think. So I know just as many regular people here in Seattle. Yeah. But it's like, you definitely do run into a lot of people that are not good at taking jokes and are a little sensitive about things, a little passive aggressive.
And I mean, I'm very flexible in a lot of, like, like I said, in a lot of thinking, and if it's not something that I'm 100% bent on, I'll pick up a new school of thought, and that's it. But religion is one thing that I'm not even debating about. So, yeah, it's hard.
So does Mr. Right have to believe in God? Yeah. Okay. I don't think it's a good or bad thing to think that way.
Yeah, there's no good or bad.
How else are you going to raise the kids?
Exactly. It's all about the kids. Exactly.
Half of you go to hell, half of you go to heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
The ones that believe in God are good, Like, how would you decide?
Because there's a lot of tough times where, what do you say to your kids? Do you say, it's like I would say, pray and God will show you the way. And he would say, don't listen to your mom.
The universe will show you the way.
Yeah. They don't even say, I don't even know
such a
what
weird
they
one?
say.
I always think it's weird when people say the universe.
I know, the universe.
It's like, don't believe in God or believe in God. But when people say the universe, I'm like, what?
Oh, gosh.
Like, I guess it's like the molecules and cells. They made the universe.
The universe.
I guess it kind of makes sense if you don't believe in, like,
Yeah.
if you believe in predestination.
But I
you
see.
know, type thing,
I
but-
don't think that's a good or bad. I just think that I already know myself and what I like and what I don't like, and what I'm looking for in a person. And I think that a lot of people are not there, right? I think that everyone is trying to decide what they want, and part of what makes me so direct is that I do. And people just don't deal with that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I want to try and wrap up this pretty soon here. We've been going for about an hour and a half now, and I feel like
Wow.
it's time to get going. You know,
Are
but,
we gonna cut some stuff out?
No, I don't know. I don't think there's anything to cut out. I'm fine leaving in.
I thought it was 45 minutes, the podcast, or 60 minutes.
No, it's usually an hour 15
Oh, an hour
or so.
okay.
So we went actually a little bit over.
Do you have other questions that you had written down?
I have a lot about like your story. I know we kind of, this is a new thing for me that I'm trying, and so I'm trying to like take notes on what worked and what didn't work, and you know, I really want to find a way to get in people's heads, like what are you thinking about, like what do you believe, and what do you like what are your thought experiments in your head? What do you think about? You know, we talked a little bit about kids and how to raise them, and you talked about that school system. Like that's the type of stuff that I really think is interesting. And like we were talking, we're planning to talk about currencies in our next episode, where we're going to talk about like money and the value of gold versus Bitcoin and real value and what causes things to crash. But it's just a very like informative kind of thoughtful episode. And so a lot of the questions I have written down are to try and generate that, you know. So, but a big part of it too was me just curious what your story was, and coming from the rags to riches sort of thing. You know, you started out
which is
poor,
funny because
and now you're going to the
only
biggest
here in
city
US, right? We weren't actually born in Romania.
Well, you said, I know your mom talked about when she first came to San Francisco that she like teared up when she saw it, because she had just heard a song or something that was popular in Romania, and she was like, this is the US. I'm in San Francisco.
But see, this is like this is generational gap. So my mom is also very emotional. I mean, we're emotional too, but the first time I landed in Seattle, I also, I guess, kind of teared up, and I looked up at the skyscrapers and I thought, wow, I made it, you know. And I had a connection through New York, and I was just, wow, I belong here, you know. It felt like that. And she refers to the song, you know, if you're going to San Francisco, make sure you wear flowers in your hair, right? I forget who's singing that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, San Francisco has those skyscrapers and has the feeling of a city, and she comes from, so she grew up in a well-to-do family, but then communism came, right? So communism was 3 decades in Romania, and it only got progressively worse to the point where when we were born, when the coup d'etat happened, that's French for revolution.
I was gonna say, because I know you guys had the
it
revolution
was poverty,
pretty recently.
right? Like cruel poverty. Like they were only getting ratios, like rations of meat per person, and because we were babies, we had to get all the best meat. So they would eat soup of bones and meat skins, like something gross like that, right? So coming from that to San Francisco, you know, obviously you're exaggerating, but we weren't, like I said, we were part of middle, if not middle upper class, because our parents had advanced education, we had advanced education, we had private education, we went to private school. So it wasn't, I never had the perception that I'm so poor and struggling and America just changed all that, right? I was way poorer and way more on the bottom when I got here with no parents and no comfort of my home. That's why we say start from the bottom, now we're here, because I guess life was like this. We were doing fine in the middle, and then we came somewhere with no parents, no guidance, no money, eating with the poor, counting every single cent, every option that was 10 cents cheaper, we would buy that. Now when I go to the grocery store, I don't even check the labels. I only check for, like, you know, if it's organic or if it's good calorie intake or good nutrition. And then now we're here, right? So, but not because in Romania it was all that bad. Now, some Americans might fight that because what's considered average here. So I noticed that in the United States, if a family is pretty well to do, they're actually really humble about it, or some of them, right? And they say, oh, we're doing well, but they're going on expensive trips and they have BMWs and Louis Vuittons. We didn't have that. So I guess according to that standard, we were poor, right? But I'm saying compared to the poor in Romania, we were in the middle.
Well, I feel like nobody in the U.S. would ever say, like, for the most part, if they're doing okay, they would never say, like, well, we're rich. They'd be like, oh, we're doing how?
Because in the United States,
okay.
You've got mega rich, right? So they wouldn't dare to say we're rich because they're thinking, well, I'm only making $1 million a year, but she's making $3 million.
Well, it's like that for no matter what you do. There's always someone making a lot more money.
Yeah, versus in Romania, like, if you're doing well, you kind of flaunt it a bit. If your parents have money, you're gonna drive a BMW.
Well, they do that.
You're gonna wear Cartier.
Here too. Like they'll buy stuff.
I don't know. That's one thing that I've always loved
Seattle,
about
you're not
Seattle.
Gonna see it.
I love that about Seattle. I love how humble people are and how, I mean, it's almost excessively humble, right?
I mean, you see in LA, people driving their fancy cars and stuff down there.
Yeah.
Wearing their Gucci stuff,
like
$700 ugly shoes. You know, with the rainbows on them or whatever it is that Gucci does. Have you looked at some of the Gucci stuff? Like the styles?
I like them.
That's so weird. Some of it's fine, but some of it, when you look at it all put together, you're like, you look like a checkerboard. And like stripes. It's like if you took someone out of a science fiction.
High fashion is designed to inspire and intrigue. It's not designed to...
that's something I don't fully understand.
Look like every other person.
Right.
That's the whole thing. You stick out, right?
I mean, some of it looks fine. Like, I like some of their shoes.
But they don't go for fine, right? They go for... It needs to be show-stopping.
Yeah. Well,
unless
the
fashion is designed for everyday wear, right? For... Like, there's a business clothing brand called Lafleur, where I think their motto is the least interesting about you should be your clothes. So very understated work attire for women.
But see, like, if I was going to buy something expensive, I wouldn't buy Gucci. I'd buy, like, a Rolex or something.
See, I wouldn't buy a Rolex. I would buy a Patek Philippe, but that's...
Is that... You've said that a couple times. Is that...
No, I haven't. It's the first time, but Patek Philippe is
all these words I don't know, and I was like, they're all the same to me.
Patek Philippe is I think it's a Swiss brand of watches, but very famous in Europe.
Is it more expensive than Rolex?
You know, not all value is quantified in dollars. I think it's similar. I think every upper echelon brand has its peaking. Honestly, any item that you put diamonds on.
Let me look at this up. I want to see what these watches look like.
You know,
what is it called?
Patek, Patek.
Let's just take a look at these.
Philippe is spelled like Philip, but with an E at the end. I mean, really, you can make everything.
They're like $20,000 watches or so.
I think that's the cheaper version because I was looking at 40,000.
Here's a $100,000 one.
Listen, anything you put diamonds on is going to be.
Well, that's why I like Rolex as like an expensive watch because Rolex is so blinged out. It's like all diamonds all over the whole
Rolex
watch.
And your basic Patek are similar.
I'm sure. It sounds like this one's been around for a long time, since 1839.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So for me, it's not just the dollar value; it's the history as well.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. I don't know when Rolex was found actually. I was looking at like these things the other day. I was going through like Rolex.
I mean, United States has only been around for a few hundred years, right?
True.
So just by its
how
history,
in the world are we killing it so good? Am I right?
That's why I moved here,
America.
right? It's because all the import talent comes here to make a better life. So it's actually, you're welcome. It's all of us. It's all the immigrants that come here and work hard and make it better.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think what do you mean, like everyone as an immigrant?
Well, 50% of the United States is immigrants.
I mean, all of it's if you consider, like,
Exactly.
or for the most part, all of it.
Exactly. All of it.
But,
And it became a culture of performance and striving and yeah, so, but it started as immigrants.
the thing is, I
course.
think it's such a far away country from all the other countries that everyone who ended up here had to have taken a big risk to get here. I heard that theory
Totally.
once.
And so what does
So
that
then
say about
all
those
the
people? They're
genes
determined and
those people are all there.
driven and motivated. Like, America has some of the smartest people in the world.
We're just very innovative. I was thinking about that because we just invent a lot of things. Like, we just had a very, like, it's our weakness and it's good and a weakness where we're very, like, focused, very, like we invented the assembly line, for, like, Ford. And obviously if I get any of this wrong, I'm going to sound like an idiot. But it's like, we didn't invent the car, but we were like, all right, well, let's start building cars. And we started figuring out how to, like, build one as fast and as cheap as possible. And we were always very big into, like, how can we be as efficient as possible? And,
So process optimization.
yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's,
So are you saying that not the best in net new creation, but best in taking a prototype and perfecting it?
well, we
Is that what
invented a
you're
lot of
saying?
things too, though. We invented the airplane. I think we invented
No,
the
actually, the
iPhone.
airplane was invented in Romania
really?
a few weeks before the Wright brothers.
Is this propaganda, Monica?
No, it's not.
Really?
Shameless plug.
I could have sworn it was.
Yeah,
who
but
is it?
see,
Who
there's
was
a
it?
lot of propaganda.
Who is it? Who invented?
I don't remember. I'm sure my mom
This is
told
maybe
me.
one of those
See,
stories.
my mom is super patriotic.
This is one of
and
those
she
stories that they tell in Romania, maybe.
Kinda, no, she only told me a few
The
years
Wright
ago.
brothers. No?
No, type in
Really?
type in first plane Romanian inventor, something like that.
That's a leading question. Who invented the plane? Romanian.
Yeah.
So this guy, according, I'm not going to read his name.
Is
Henry
it
Marie Coanda with a little happy
Coanda?
face.
Okay, Henry Coanda. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So
Henry
he
Coanda.
invented it in 1886, according to this, and the Wright brothers were 1871 is when they were born. Hold up, math. I
So
don't
that's
know.
15 years.
All right, interesting. I did
See?
not. Well, I mean,
It's not propaganda. It's
Well,
truth. But see, the thing
but
is,
Google says Wright brothers.
Where was Google created?
America. That's right. But who told you this story? Your mom from Romania. So
Okay, so
now
what
we
I'm
don't know. This is a good
saying
example
is-
where you never know because it's like, well, someone might have an agenda here.
The fountain pen was invented in Romania too.
Oh, really? The drip, like with the
Yeah, Parker pens are my favorite.
I'm trying to think what we invented the iPhone.
Small countries
Boom.
just don't have
See, we
the
didn't
same.
we didn't invent
Just
like
don't have the
smart.
same clout as big countries to self-promote, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, America's got a lot of problems. I'm not like, oh, everything about America is great. But everyone, I guess I stick up for it because everyone is so harsh on America all the time. Like, a lot of Europeans,
not.
like, hate America. Well, maybe not. I mean, that's just the vibe. I get the vibe that,
From me?
no. Like, people in America talk about how awful America is and how Europe's so much better. And then people in Europe, like, are like, well, Americans. And you're like, we're just people. I think we're okay. I feel like people will give us a real bad rep.
I mean, just like, United States has the smartest people in the world, they might also have the dumbest people in the world. I don't know.
I don't know how you measure that. but
Exactly.
I don't think that's true either, honestly. Because like even the dumbest people in the U.S. usually have an education of some sort. I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah, see, I don't bother with the negative thoughts, but technically, United States has a pretty high rate of high school dropping, and I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm here to focus on the good things,
Right.
to contribute good things, and to reap the benefits from the good things. I mean, I'm not. My parents are very judgmental. My dad is very judgmental against like the lower echelon.
Mm-hmm.
But I always tell him, Dad, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you worried about all these things?
Well, the thing about it is like when you're
I'm doing well, thus you're doing well. If you're doing well, you have access to some of the best resources in the world, and that's all that matters to me.
when you're in the
If some people are not motivated and don't want to learn, even though they have the resources, that's on them.
Yeah, and I think that when you're in the warts of any country,
Yeah.
like when you live in the country and you really see it, you're gonna find the issues with it. The problem is we got a lot of people that live in the U.S. or any country. I just happen to know one that live in the U.S. and they find all the problems, and then all they do is complain about all the problems, and they don't really know about other countries other than like I went vacation there.
I think I read this quote. Big minds talk about ideas, small minds talk about people. Like, referring to the people around you and how well or poorly they're doing. And
Right.
I'm so focused, and all my time is consumed by how I can improve myself and my surroundings and my friends' surroundings and my family, that I don't have time to think about how much dumb other people are, or how many uneducated people there are, or
Right.
I'm not concerned with those things.
Yeah, which I think is good. I really enjoy.
For the most part, I mean, everyone has bad days, but 95% of the time I try to just look at the positives.
Yeah.
Life's too short to think about the negatives.
Life's too short.
And
All right.
that's why
What?
I'm not that concerned about being late 30 minutes
We'll-
versus
we're
you
still-
mull
well,
over
look,
it.
Look, we're still friends. We don't have to bring it up again. There's a lot of details for anyone who's listening. Monica and I have known each other for a long time, and so
Long is relative.
the perspective is we both have different opinions on things, and we had some conflict earlier, which we're kind of like touching on a little bit.
You're the only one that sees conflict.
And
I don't even remember. You know what I mean? That's how it is to me.
You keep getting me deranged off my thought. I'm trying to make a point here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like wrap this up in a good way.
Don't try to.
No. I'm gonna say this.
I think people are allowed to believe what they want, and I think you can just choose to surround yourself with the people that you want, and don't try and inflict your opinions on others.
No, I disagree with that. I think
is that a West Coast granola thinking?
No, I think you should. You shouldn't be a baby and never tell anyone what you actually think.
You should.
You should share your ideas. You should call people out.
That they're gonna follow it.
It does. I'm not saying they will, but I mean, like, if everyone's
so
jumping off,
you'll just hit a wall and realize that
if
people
everyone's
don't care
jumping
about
off
your
a
feedback.
cliff, I should be like, "That's a cliff," right?
There's various degrees to which.
Should I say that sometimes though?
If it's a cliff.
Yeah.
They might want to jump off a cliff.
I know, but I still would say it's a bad idea as they're flying off the side, right? I think that's right. I feel
might
like
be a
we
good
should.
idea.
Because like, here's the thing, like
they might know how to
I
dive.
thought about this the other day because people will always do so. It's people are like little kids in a lot of ways. Where if you just let them do their thing and you just let them go, they're gonna keep trying stuff until somebody freaks out a little bit. Because I've been doing stuff where I go down this road, and then when someone finally goes like, "What are you doing going down that road?" I kind of go, "Oh, you're right. That was really stupid." But nobody told me it was stupid, so I didn't realize it. So if nobody ever calls anyone out, people just keep doing dumber and dumber stuff. I've seen it happen. So I feel like you have to call people out sometimes.
I think I learned a lot from experimenting on my own and making mistakes.
Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay. We had a discussion. We had some talks. We laughed. We cried. It moved the people. Do you have any plugs or anything that you'd like to?
I'm not an Insta famous person, or if you're interested. I mean, I find the whole concept interesting in itself to follow people that you don't know, but and I don't even do much on. I mean, I would never accept strangers on Facebook.
Right.
And
I mean, if you don't have anything that you want to share, that's fine. But I just want to give you the opportunity. You got the microphone in front of you.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll wrap up this podcast. You guys can all follow me on Twitter at Luke Roxwold. That's ROCKS. WOLD. My Instagram is the same. I haven't posted any vlogs in a while, but if you get a chance, listen to some of the other podcast episodes, and feel free to tweet at us at WAITSB Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, everybody, or watching if you're on Facebook. I hope it's not awkward that I'm looking at the camera. I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Won't be any more awkward in our conversation.
Okay, so here's one of the things that we do. This is how we end the episode. Okay, so at the same time, you and I are going to say the word outro music, and the music's going to play. Okay?
Outro music.
Yeah. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we say it together. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Outro music. Boom. Okay. Done.